The season has changed to a point that whereas you had a consistency in this area, like from September we could plant mustard greens, turnips, and kale and those type of things. And then that was back in 2000. Mm-hmm. 2011, after 2011, really from 2015 on, the temperature has changed. In 2000 up until 2015, we were in 8A and 8B. Now we're in 9A and 9B. That's, the zones has changed, and the temperature has changed.
In this episode of Voices from the Field, Milton and Diann Woods of Milliesbarn Veggie Farm in Eagle Lake, Texas, talk with NCAT Sustainable Agriculture Specialist Justin Duncan about how they overcame various risks on their farm by choosing the right crops, both for their environment and in accordance with the needs of their clientele. This podcast is produced by the National Center for Appropriate Technology through the ATTRA Sustainable Agriculture program under a cooperative agreement with USDA Rural Development. This podcast was also made possible in part by funding from the Southern Risk Management Education Center, USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture, through the University of Arkansas. Let's listen.
My name is Justin Duncan, and I have the pleasure of being again with the fabulous Diann Woods and Milton Woods out here at Milliesbarn Veggie Farm out here in, is Eagle Lake or is Egypt or is Bonus? Where are we at?
Nedra Bonus.
Nedra Bonus.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where did that name come from?
It's on the Texas outline.
Nedra?
Nedra. It's on the outline of the Texas outline.
Because I've seen Bonus on the map, but I haven't seen Nedra.
Well, see, it stopped doing it because I'm going to try to bring it back.
Okay.
It's on the Texas with online history. It's called Nedra.
All right. So y'all have a CSA farm here, right?
We have a regular vegetable farm now. We had a CSA farm.
Okay, not a CSA anymore?
No, started in 2000 and I stopped in 2011 when he came back from overseas.
Okay, so primarily y'all sell where then?
To farmers market and cooperatives and just individual people.
All right. Now tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Well, I'm Diann Woods. I'm a food chemist. I started doing the CSA, started farming because I was doing a project for my doctorate on toxicity in farming and using chemicals. And so at that time when I was not through FSA and NSA, and not FSA and USDA, they wouldn't let me use the documents to find out how many people were farming toxic chemicals. I decided to start farming, and then I found out myself how to get access to the records. So I started my own business. This was a farm that was my aunt bought in 1908, and it was transferred down to me. I'm the next legacy heir. So my husband Milton Woods, he's a production manager. He always farmed in Tennessee, so he always wanted to farm here. So when he came down here, all the relatives knew that he farmed, so they gave the land over to us so we could farm it, and it's all transferred in our name as the farm.
Okay.
So we started farming the different varieties of vegetables. The land had to be cleared. It was cattle on here first, and I think most of the time it was mostly a dump site. A lot of times people dumped a lot of things. So we cleaned it all up, and we started tilling the soil, and the soil was in good shape. One of my cousins had dug a pond, and he used that for fishing. So when we took over, Milton didn't like the farm, so he just let it go. So we started farming. We started small, and I started doing the CSA, and I had 25 members. The 25 members came along, and they paid into the subscription farming. And I offered the different variety of vegetables that we grow in this area according to fall and winter, and then spring and summer.
Now, was there a learning curve when you started growing the vegetables here?
Yes, it was a learning curve because we had to get the soil. We didn't know what type of soil we had. I think this particular soil in Egypt is caney soil, and this particular soil was, I think, sandy loam or sandy type. So we looked at it, and we just went on and started planting vegetables. And at that time, the vegetables came out without any type of disease, any type of fungus, any type of insects, because it had never been used as a planting area for 60 years. So
'Cause it
the
was just
soil was,
cattle.
yeah, except for cattle. And so the soil was pretty decent shape. So we started off, because most of the time my husband was in and out of the country, I started off with a fourth of acre. And in that particular acre, I had about, let's say about 26 rows, 100 feet, 100 by 100. And in each one of those rows, I'd have a row of each different type of vegetables that were indicative to that particular season. So I started off with broccoli, cauliflower. And at that time, because I needed to do a fast pace, I did transplants. All my transplants I picked up because we were trying to find out any nurseries around this area. We didn't find any. So we had to drive all the way to Peterson, pick up our transplants and come back. 100 at a time. That's how we started. And so people who paid for the particular subscription, they paid in advance, so that gave me the chance to get my funding, my money, bought me 2 tractors and all kind of equipment so that I could plant. And then if you look at the numbers, 25 people times $950 would give you somewhere around $18,000 for the year.
That's nice.
So that was up front. And then once we did that, I still delivered the vegetables would come in, and then I would plant, and I would deliver on Friday, and I'd have a 200-mile radius from Warden all the way to Magnolia.
And you said you had 25 rows?
About 26 rows.
26 rows? And these were all different vegetables?
Different vegetables.
Did you notice any of them doing better or doing worse than others that made you, kind of leave some vegetables alone and concentrate on others?
Some. It was not the fall crop. When I tried it, I had to learn the curve about when to plant carrots and spinach, because we had to wait certain time for the weather to occur. Because I think spinach is 40 to 60 degrees, and this part of the Interstate 10 south of Interstate 10, the temperature doesn't go down until about maybe December, November to plant spinach. So the people I worked with who were my subscribers, they understood all the different things about farming. They didn't know about farming, but I told them and explained to them what it was like, and that it depended on the temperatures and everything I could get. The first few times I did farming, I had to farm. I couldn't give them a variety of everything that I was planting. So they had an abundance of certain things, and then when we got up into the full year up before spring started, they had an abundance of every different vegetable that I had planted for the winter cycle, fall cycle. And then it was time to start the spring. I had to turn the soil. I learned how to work the tractor. Learned how to take the implements off and put them on. Because at that time we were doing full what you call farming, which is we plowed, double bottom plow. Then we turned a till, and then we would disc, and then we would hill. And when it made the hills, they'd be about maybe 3 or 4 feet high, and then we'd come back with the rotiller and cut them down so they'd be the right size that we could plant. It'd be smooth across the top.
Now you're talking about back in 2011, while
in 2000,
yeah, when you were doing the CSA.
Right.
Now, how are those growing conditions in the field then different from what you're experiencing now?
Oh, temperature change. The season has changed to a point that whereas you had a consistency in this area, like from September we could plant mustard greens, turnips, and kale and those type of things. And then that was back in 2000. 2011, after 2011, really from 2015 on, the temperature has changed. And back in that time in 2000 up until 2015, we were in 8A and 8B. Now we're in 9A and 9B. That's the zones has changed and the temperature has changed. Yeah. We have more humidity coming out of the Gulf. And even as like today, we can hardly, it's like, let's see what the temperature is going to change today and let's plant.
Right.
That's how we do it. Right now we're planning by the seat of our pants. Back then we could project what we were going to plant and when we're going to plant it and when it came up.
So would you say farming is a lot more riskier now?
It's riskier.
And so that's a part of this project. This has been funded by the Southern Risk Management Education Center, and we're trying to work with producers to teach them how to be more resilient in light of these changes. So one thing that I've noticed is that I've had to plant earlier. I have to plant 2 weeks earlier, or I have to plant 2 weeks later than I would have planted back in like 2010, 2008, 2007. So it's a bit more chaotic because of the weather conditions. The summers have been brutal.
Brutal, super brutal.
So what are y'all growing over the summer?
The summer, we pushed the envelope to start February if we can to try to do squash, yellow squash, crookneck. I do the crookneck. I'm not in favor of this.
In February?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
It just depends. And then what we do it in February. And if we do in February, I have put more, not only risk, but more expenses toward using shade frost blankets, just in case we have a problem. The big frost blankets, and we've gone down from doing an acre on some plants to going down to do 250 feet. That way we can have a purchase to cover the frost blankets to cover that whole area that we need to keep from having damage to the plant.
Right. And so you're planting them earlier, but you're worried about frost, but you're more understanding that if you don't plant them that early,
You won't get the product.
you won't get a crop.
Right, and that was when I had my CSA, and even now when we're doing the farmers market, what we're trying to do is make sure we can try to get the vegetables in the market, our farmers market, as if like they're seeing it in the store. At the same time, around the spring crops are supposed to be coming in. So the squash, the yellow zucchini, the green beans, which is a short time. And then there's most green beans usually do 60 days to development. So we got to count back, and that's usually February.
Now, some of the crops that you grow, it doesn't seem like everybody's growing these things.
Right.
These are more specialized crops.
They're specialized, right.
And so, would you say that that's to get that comparative advantage? Like you're growing this stuff, nobody else can grow it, but you can grow it.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we started doing that because he and I both had lived overseas, and so we knew there was a different type of culture and people that were living, diversity, people that live in especially since our farmers market is in Fort Bend. So now we try to cater to the folks who live in that area and the different type of vegetables that they grow there, because most of the people that grew there, they're more in a tropical situation, which is, and sometimes we can have a tropical situation here in this area, and then there's the cold come in right on top of it, which is a snap. So our vegetables have to do mainly now with people who live in different countries that have come here and immigrated to America.
So these are
specialty crops.
Specialty ethnic crops.
Crops, right.
Okay.
We do hibiscus, and we do red scallions, and we do we still do the watermelon, and we do the honeydew, and some other melons that some of the folks have had over there, and they tell me to try the seeds out because that's what they like.
Okay.
We do the what they call Egyptian spinach. We call it molakia, and we grow that, and we grow the okra. They like the okra, and we keep, and some of the people that are from native of Indian descent, they like the purple hull peas and they like the black eyed peas.
Don't have time to stay up to date on the freshest sustainable agriculture news, events, and funding opportunities? You can trust NCAT to keep you connected with our weekly harvest e-newsletter. Subscribe today at ncat.org and get your weekly harvest delivered each Wednesday.
You mentioned hibiscus earlier. Now, is this the flower? What kind of hibiscus is this?
This is the calyx, which is the little flower that turns into like a little fruit. And we go, they make, I think they call it hibiscus satadafra, and they can call it roselle, and they call it, in West Africa, they call it bisap or zobo, and in Jamaica, they call it Jamaica de Flora. So I knew all those technical terms, so when I sell it to them, I usually give them, they know the name and they know what I know that it's used for.
Okay. So the hibiscus sabderifa, that's an interesting crop because it has a lot of medicinal benefits. And people around the world have adopted this thing, and some people eat the leaves, some people eat the calyx, like you said, because it's not a fruit that you're eating. It's the what was the sepals of the flower.
That's right.
And as the fruit, develops seeds on the inside, the calyx turns fleshy, and it has this wonderful sour taste.
Right.
And that's my gauge for Mexican restaurants.
That's right.
If I go to a Mexican restaurant and I ask them, do they have aguas frescas? Do they have Jamaica? If they don't have Jamaica, it's not a good restaurant. It's not a real Mexican restaurant. If they don't sell Jamaica, I need to leave. I need to go somewhere else.
And the same I do for people who are from Egypt restaurants. I take some crops of them, the collard greens, to the Ethiopians, and they use the same type of drink. They have a certain drink for that too. So.
Fun stuff.
I know.
All right, so aside from having to plant earlier or later, or using the frost blankets, the season extension things, is there any crop that you would say that I'm just not planting that anymore? I'm not doing that. That's not right for this place anymore.
Not really.
Not yet.
We make adjustments. At least I make adjustments.
Right.
I remember when I was coming up as a kid in 7th grade at Booker T. Washington High School, we had a program called New Farmers of America. And that was during segregation days. The other folks had Future Farmers of America. But we were taught all the seed judging, how to define our soils, whether they're good, bad, indifferent, and what we need to do to improve the soil condition, all right? And so our ag teacher would take us out in the field with him and different projects around so we could get exposed to how to grow vegetables and not use fertilizer. Back at that time, there was a lot of fertilizer going on, a lot of chemicals, okay? But to make a long story short, when Diann and I arrived here on the farm, we noticed, the first thing I noticed was that the spring is short here in the Gulf Coast.
Oh, yeah.
It's very short. And so when you plant your vegetables, whatever they are, transplants or by seed, they lack a thing called moisture. They need water, okay? And I remember my ag teacher, Mr. Strange, telling us you have to irrigate. I didn't know what irrigating was at that time. But I started looking into it, and I found out here in Texas, best way to get moisture to your plants is irrigation using drip tape.
Drip tape.
Drip tape.
All right.
All right. Now, you don't over indulge in water and drown your plants, but you what I found out is to monitor the drip tapes when you decide to water whatever crop you may have, and for them to survive. And in that drip tape, you don't need to put fertilizer, chemicals on it. It's not necessary. And all the plant wants is a drink of water. And so our rows, some of them are not short. They could be 120 feet, sometimes 300 feet long. And mine are normally 200 feet long. And I've had people complain to me about, well, why do you make it so long? I said, well, if I have a 200-foot row of okra, okra loves heat. Okra loves the sun. However, okra requires moisture as well. And I give it just enough moisture to keep it interesting, and it will grow and thrive. And I have to pick that okra every other day. I can't miss a day. I must pick it every other day. That's the length of my little finger, my ring finger. People can't get enough of it. But now, if I get lazy and don't do that, third day, every other day is like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I go longer than that, it's gonna get hard. Nobody want hard okra, tough okra, you know.
Right.
And so that's from experience from growing up in New Farmers of America. But today, with Diann with her frost blankets, sometimes we had to put the irrigation on that. She strawberries. She does strawberries too. And one day we realized strawberries needed more moisture. So what did I do? I turned the irrigation on and let it go for about 4 hours. They come to life. And so we learn how to gauge with the drip irrigation, how not to overwater. Yeah, a lot of people think just drown it in water. It will stunt the plant too much.
Right. Now you were talking about the 200-foot rows,
Yeah.
and you know why they were so long. So, is the length related to you having to irrigate with the drip tape?
Yeah. That's what it's for. Because the reason why, 25, 50, 100 foot, you're not gonna, the crops will be there was not much, but we had to have a homogeneous in there to where you have a healthy crop, customers love, and when they look at it, they go, wow, they're in shock and awe. And so we've had competitors, we've seen some of the competitors' products, and most of the time we do not use fertilizer. We use organic material, and we compost. And another thing too, see, when you compost, you feed your microbes. And another thing, feed your microbes. I have a tea that I make for my microbes. My microbes are happy, my plants are happy. And so they don't need those chemicals.
Right.
And that's how we get around it.
Okay. So the 200-foot length, I'm still focused on that because I'm trying to understand. I want the listeners to understand. So basically, you don't want to overwater, and if your drip tapes were short, you would get overwater. So they're long, so that you get enough coverage throughout that entire row.
Uniform.
And okay, good deal. Just trying to make sure that.
All right, and you know, and if 200 feet sounds like a lot, it's not. All you have to do is it comes to the row, okay, when you buy it from the irrigation people, all right? And you just put it on a spoon and just take your time. And if you don't know what 200 feet is, get a tape, get a surveyor tape, and measure the distance. 200 feet, 100 foot tape, all you do is lay 2 lengths down, you got 200 feet. And then you're ready to go.
And another reason we use the 200 feet is because he and I have our conference, which we're going to have before January, about the maximum of our break-even analysis, our profit. So the 200 foot will give us enough profit with different plants that will come out to what we need to know about. 200 feet will give you just enough if it's broccoli, cauliflower, they're spaced more. If it's something like mustard green, they're close and turnip greens. So we're trying to get the maximum. 200 feet seems to give us a maximum out of our break-even analysis that we've done on that particular vegetable.
All right.
So that's what we're looking
All
for.
right. Now see, that's what I like to hear, because y'all are thinking. Y'all are thinking about it.
Let me put it this way: we do not plant unprofitable crops. If it's not profitable, we don't waste our time. It's a waste of time, energy, effort, money.
We got to do our break-even analysis now. Is what we made this year, was it profitable for us? If not, like you asked me, what plants I won't plant, well, we'll have to see was it beneficial for us. And the break-even, if it came out to a nice profit, then we'll keep that one. If it doesn't, then we'll have to just have it in a small bed for certain things that we can turn over like real fast.
I see. So y'all seem like y'all have come up with some elegant solutions to these environmental problems, to profit problems, and that leads to marketing problems. problems. So, or fixing any marketing problems. And I think we've had a good discussion here today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anything else that y'all want our listeners to know about Milliesbarn Veggie Farm?
We start in the new year come January. We got to do our break-even analysis, and we got to find out what was good and what not good. A lot of times, since he's the food production manager, he's relegated to what we call the cash crops. That's what he's getting ready to do.
Okay.
And then I'll do what they call the specialty smaller crops, because I can do them on a 1/4 of an acre, 100-foot bed. Another thing I want to tell everybody is that you need to know about your profit, about your break-even analysis, and like you were talking about the 250-foot bed, we have the 250-foot bed now. If something down the road would happen to either one of us, we should be able to break that bed down further to 100 by 100, which is a 1/4 acre, and maximize it yourself. Just one single person can do it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and no, we don't need a lot of help. I'm the help. And example, when things break, mechanical things break on the tractor, implements, whatever, I repair, or she can repair.
Oh, yeah.
She has done that too. She knows how to get a wrench, how to operate it, and because we can't call the tractor dealership come out here, we can buy 5 tractors by the time they get through charging us, you know. So you got to be self-sufficient too.
Self-sufficiency is very important.
Yeah, you have to.
All right, those are great parting words. All right, until next time. See y'all later.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Additional information about this episode and related resources can be found at attra.ncat.org. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to Voices from the Field wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Rich Myers. ATTRA, Voices from the Field, is produced by the National Center for Appropriate Technology, headquartered in Butte, Montana. It's supported by the USDA Rural Business Cooperative Service as part of NCAT's ATTRA Sustainable Agriculture program. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this recording are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the USDA or NCAT. We'll catch you again next week, and until then, keep on farming.